I don't throw darts at a board. I bet on sure things. Read Sun Tzu, The Art of War. Every battle is won before it's ever fought. Think about it. The most valuable commodity I know of is information. Wouldn't you agree?
I gotta pump those numbers up. Those are rookie numbers in this racket.
A, B, C. A, always, B, B, C, closing. Always be closing. Always be closing. The show goes on!
It's Wednesday night and fantasy football is on the agenda. Grab a seat and let's get down to business. It's time for the Fantasy Boardroom. Here's your host, Tycoon.
Welcome to the Fantasy Boardroom. As always, I am your host, Tycoon, and the Fantasy Boardroom is in session. No guest tonight. We'll still keep working on that. So tonight we are just going to dive right in. We are diving into quarterbacks and tight ends, situational overviews heading into the final draft weekend here before the regular season, before the Thursday night opener of Kansas City and Detroit on, what is that, September 7th? Yeah, so we are real close, baby. We are real close. But yeah, one more weekend to cram in those home leagues if you haven't already done it. And make sure you go back, check the overall rankings, check the PPR draft strategy episode. Go back and check last week's for the primary positions of running back and wide receiver with none other than Rasta from Get Right Fantasy Network. Great episode, great show, great variety of opinions. Tonight you're just going to get mine on quarterbacks and tight ends. And before we dive right in, I just want to say that if you play in any 10-team leagues, this is going to be a little bit more applicable to you. In 12-teamers, you can tend to wait a little bit longer on quarterback and tight end. But when it comes to the shallower leagues or the smaller leagues with just 10 teams, the emphasis on studs at various positions becomes more paramount. It's much more important to make sure that you have a really strong QB1 and a really strong tight end 1. Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, those guys mean so much more in 10-man leagues than they do in 12-team leagues. So make sure that you are attacking those positions vigorously. And let's start with who to target. We will start with quarterbacks, none other than Hairboy Justin Herbert. Now, why do I say he's a target? He seems like an obvious target, obviously, because he's a great quarterback. But the reason I say he's a target is because I have him as my QB5. Just before the top 3 that I just mentioned, and Lamar Jackson. Right there is Justin Herbert. I wish Ross was here for this because we're in agreement. 5,000 yards, 40 touchdowns. Those marks are not out of range for Herbert this year. This is going to be a magical season for him. He's going to be in a position where he's going to need to be throwing the ball a lot again, as always. I mean, nothing's really going to change. It was a little bit of a down year last year, obviously, but he was dealing with a rib injury most of the year that he was playing through. The guy's tough as hell. They added Quentin Johnston to go along with Mike Williams and Keenan Allen. I mean, I'm not the biggest guy on QJ, other than the fact that he gets to play with Herbert, but I think he'll overtake Josh Palmer soon enough. It's a great spot. He is, and let me back up a little bit. I gotta get my shit in order here. The reason that they're at my QB5, I consider him a target, is because according to expert consensus rankings on Fantasy Pros, because ADP varies from site to site, I've got him, 2 spots above, and 2 quarterback spots around that range after those big 4 could be a bit of a difference. So clear target. Clear target. Next, Deshaun Watson. Morals aside, talked about this before. The man is talented. His points will count for fantasy. Somebody has got to be the beneficiary of them. I have no problem being that person. So I have him as my QB7. So after Herbert, there's Burrow, and then there's Watson. Now, the likes of Justin Fields, Joe Burrow are above Herbert in the consensus rankings. Not for me. Then you can also add Trevor Lawrence to that mix as far as those considered above um, Deshaun Watson and obviously Justin Herbert. I've got Lawrence and Fields both behind Deshaun Watson, a man who has been a top 5 fantasy quarterback in every full season he has played, with the exception of his rookie season. They've got a very favorable schedule for quarterbacks for him. Njoku is primed to truly break out this year. Amari Cooper is an absolute stud. They traded for Elijah Moore, who I think is better than DPJ, Donovan Peoples-Jones. So he'll be the wide receiver too there. He has got Nick Chubb to support him in the backfield, keep defenses honest, and Chubb will definitely get his. This is a wonderful situation for him. I mean, the biggest challenge for him is going to be the divisional games. But QB7 all day long, and one QB, especially the 12-team leagues. I mean, he's been going 8th, 9th round. That's just easy money. And this last one, not a target for one QB leagues, unless it's a particularly large league, potentially, but really more of a super flex target, and that is Brock Purdy. That's right, the Brock star, Brock Lobster, Brock Purdy. Not just because I'm a 49ers fan. In fact, I've been a little bit hesitant up until recently, his preseason showings, because I'm worried about his elbow. What can I say? I have been worried. He tore his UCL, and he's back in, 6-7 months? That's pretty wild. He didn't get Tommy John. It was just a UCL repair. So, I mean, there is that. But it's a major, major, major injury. And for a guy who didn't have the strongest arm to begin with, it truly is something to have a little bit of concern about. So that is a little bit dissipated. Now, I still don't think he's truly 100%, but he is clearly good enough to play. He looked very sharp, very in command, very comfortable in all 3 of his preseason series. There's really no more concern in my mind. My biggest concern is, can the line keep him healthy? I'm not entirely sure he gets through the season unscathed. That's really where the worry is. There's no worry about him himself as a player in my eyes, especially with the supporting cast that he has. So given the talent that he's working with, especially just being able to dump the ball to Debo and Christian McCaffrey, who can do just magical things, and of course is building rapport with Brandon Ayuk, who is just rapidly climbing the wide receiver ranks in the league, he's going to get his. This is going to be one of the highest scoring offenses in the NFL that he is going to be commanding. So as long as he's healthy, it's going to translate to a strong degree to fantasy. And I really kind of expect him to be a mid-range QB2 at this point. Going as a late QB2 in general, sometimes QB3 range in drafts, although I think that's been rising since the trade of Trey Lance. Again, easy money. So in super flex leagues in particular, make sure you are taking advantage and grabbing him as a QB. You can wait on QB2 and just grab him, build a strong roster. Get an extra stud there in the 3rd or 4th round. People are drafting guys like, Kirk Cousins, Derek Carr. Now, guys that I am fading, and again, this is versus expert consensus ranking, so when I say fade, doesn't mean I'm not drafting him, especially in the case of this first individual, and that is Justin Fields. I think they are going to make a concerted effort to try and develop him more as a passer this season. I don't know that it's going to be the smoothest of processes, and with that, I expect his rushing volume to go down a little bit. They've got a nice 3-headed, monster there at running back with Khalil Herbert, Deontay Foreman, and Roschon Johnson. They're still going to run the ball a lot, but I think they are going to try and limit Justin's rushing just a bit. Nothing major, and there's still going to be the off-script, scrambles that he takes that will happen, and he's still going to put up very respectable rushing totals, but I don't think he's going to be pushing, for 1,000 yards or anything of the sort. So I would really dial back a little bit of the rushing expectations for Justin Fields. They brought in DJ Moore for a reason. It wasn't so he couldn't throw to him. Expect that to be, again, a focus. I still anticipate that to be a weak defense. They've made some additions, but they have a long way to go. They have a couple of high-powered offenses in their own division in Minnesota and Detroit, so 4 games right there that are going to be tough. they're going to have to definitely be airing it out, at least to try and stay competitive in these games. Give me the other guys going this rate. I have him down just to QB9. I mean, I still love him, but yeah, give me Burrow, give me Watson, give me Lawrence, give me those guys, Herbert over Justin Fields. He's kind of the last tier of the really top end before you get into the Tua Dak range. That's how I feel about him. Geno is my other main fade here. A lot of people that I see kind of punting the position in single quarterback drafts, he's a popular guy to just snag late as your QB or as part of like a dual QB, pair him up with somebody like Danny Dimes or Jared Goff, Kirk Cousins, somebody of that nature. I just don't love it. I think it's going to be back to a heavy rushing attack for Seattle. This is what Pete likes to do. They brought in Zach Charbonnet despite already having Kenneth Walker. I think they're going to be really looking to involve both of them a lot. That's really been the identity of the Seahawks offense largely as long as Pete's been in charge. Not that, Russell Wilson didn't put up a lot of impressive seasons, through the air either. But it's a run-first offense. Geno was fantastic last year, much to my chagrin as a 49ers fan. He was outstanding. There's no criticism of his play last year, really. Can he do it again? I'm not totally convinced. Maybe it's foolish to doubt, but we've still seen a lot more of nothing from Geno than what we saw last year. Now, he's got a great group of talent to work with, so I'm probably off base, but a QB5 finish again just seems real outlandish, especially given the glut of talent that is available at the position in front of him. I really would be shocked. That's all I can say. I mean, and last year, again, guys that he was able to beat out, guys like Lamar got injured, Herbert injured, Watson didn't play most of the year. Lawrence still a second-year player. He is rapidly ascending. And obviously you're never going to take him over somebody like Allen Mahomes or even pick him to finish above there, right? So it's really hard to see a clear path back to a top 10 quarterback, and I'd be surprised if he's top 15. Frankly, there's a lot of guys this year. And then Matthew Stafford is another one. I mean, just worry about the Rams offense as a whole. I don't think it's going to be good. The offensive line isn't good. They don't have a good running back. They only have one real receiver. And as much as I love, Puka Nacua or Van Jefferson or any of these guys, Ben Skowronek, it's Matthew Stafford, Cooper Kupp, and Aaron Donald. That's the entire Rams team. Stafford has struggled to stay healthy over the last couple of years. Obviously, they were able to win the Super Bowl 2 years ago, but last year missed most of the year with that elbow. His wife even mentioned the other day that he's struggling to connect with his younger teammates. They're on their phones all the time. I mean, I don't know. I'm guilty of that like the younger guys instead of Boomer Stafford here, apparently. Can't get off my phone. Damn fantasy. But there's just not a good aura around the Rams team. There's really nothing to be excited about other than his connection with Cooper Kupp, but a guy who just also came back from a hamstring injury himself here in camp. Hopefully that doesn't linger for his sake. But yeah, Matthew Stafford with few weapons, few hopes for the team as a whole. I really want no part of him. I wouldn't even be looking for him as a QB2 in Superflex. Just keep him away. And then finally, sleepers. Ooh, I didn't even change to the fades banner. I am horrible. So QB sleepers. We'll just repeat Brock Purdy because he is going so late, although he's rising, but still very, very late for probably top 18 QB production. Better if he's healthy for the entire year. And then Ryan Tannehill. Ryan Tannehill is one. This is a guy who's essentially free. God, what's he? Let me double check what it was at consensus rankings because I have Mr. Tannehill up as my QB 20 right now. He's QB 27 expert consensus range, so well out into QB 3 range. I have zero fear of Will Levis or Malik Willis coming in and threatening his job whatsoever. He's got the Andrew Hopkins now. The division is really just them and the Jags, so they're going to be able to make a run at it. Still have Derrick Henry. They're going to try and maximize, another year that they have of him. They're going to play to win, so he will be out there all year. He has, this is the first time he's had a good receiver in a couple of years. He didn't have A.J. Brown last year, so now he's got one of the best of our era, who is not totally washed, by the way. Just hope you all realize that. DeAndre can play. Oh, and he's going to get a lot of targets. Plain and simple. He's going to be the attraction. Traylon Burks has been. Let me double check. So I was wrong about Cooper Kupp coming back last week when I was talking to Ross. I thought he still wasn't back from his hamstring injury, and then come to find out that he actually was when it came to excuse me. When it came to his health, he had returned to practice the previous day. So, and that's what we get with Traylon Burks. He did get back on Monday. He did have to be carted off the field a couple of weeks ago. It was diagnosed as an LCL injury with no timetable, but he's back out, in less than 2 weeks. It's a good sign. He has a guy who's, dealt with being nicked up quite a bit, though. So, regardless, when he can be out there, he'll definitely help keep some of the pressure and some of the coverage off of Hopkins. At the same time, it's also another viable threat for Tannehill to throw to, and a lot of people are excited about Chig Okonkwo at the tight end position. Not me so much, but it's just another viable weapon that Tannehill will have at his disposal. So you absolutely, and Superflex anyways, want to be looking at this guy, and certainly a guy to target if you need a streamer due to an injury and your league for some reason drafts a lot of quarterback twos in the draft, and that's going to be available on the waiver wire, because he is not going to be drafted in most of your single QB leagues, or damn near all, unless you're Titans league. Now we move to tight end, the big boys. Let's go. My favorite one this entire offseason has been ruined by a great performance from him and Daniel Jones in the preseason. Then that is one Darren Waller. This guy was going in the 6th, 7th, 8th round. Easy smash pick every damn time. Now we see Jones hyper-focused on him in the preseason. We see Waller balling. Waller the baller is back, baby. Shout out Matt Berry, by the way, because he was saying the same thing, I think, in his love-hate that I was reading. But yeah, Waller the baller, baby. He is back in full force. Been my tight end 3 all off season. Go back to episode 1 of this season if you need proof. But his price has been rising. I'm seeing him taken in the 4th repeatedly in drafts that I'm in and in mocks right before most of the real drafts started. So that is highly disappointing. Makes him less of a target. Not in love with him at a 4th round price. That said, he is still my tight end 3. So if you do see him slipping in your league with tight ends, that's the guy. So, if people are still taking Hawkinson and Kittle or Pitts or any of those guys above him, nah. Get Waller. Already shouted him out a little bit earlier, but David Njoku is the other main tight end target that I have here. Why? Deshaun Watson in town. Why? They're going to be throwing. Why? Because he's the second best pass catcher on the team behind Amari Cooper. Why? They have a favorable schedule for the passing attack. There we go. That's the best way to phrase it. It's a money situation. Last year, we really saw him put together a number of fine performances, and that was with Brissett at quarterback. Now, if he can be blessed with a little bit of health, stay out there on the field, to the moon with Njoku. The guy is an absolute specimen. Big, strong, fast, everything you want in a tight end. Guy can do it all. And now he's got a top-tier quarterback throwing him the ball, hopefully for the full season. There's really nothing not to like, especially when this guy is being considered, I think, T9 or 10. I have him as my tight end 7. Yeah, he's going as tight end 10. I've got him as my tight end 7, so above the likes of guys like Goddard, Ingram, Freiermuth, certainly. Money. And you can consistently get the stack with him and Watson. in these 1 QB leagues. Get Watson in the 7th, 8th there, and then you can take Joku in the 9th, 10th. Easy. Take it all day. And then lastly, I already mentioned that I'm down on Stafford because of his lack of weapons, but the one that he will have beyond just Cooper Kupp actually is Tyler Higbee. Tyler Higbee or Ben Scornick? Tyler Higbee or Puka Nacua? Tyler Higbee or Van Jefferson? No, Tyler Higbee is going to get the second most targets on this offense, assuming, health for everybody. That's when you're in this range of tight ends, that's all you can ask for. So if you miss out on Waller and Njoku, wait as long as you can till you think Higbee's going to go in your particular draft, and then boom, snag Tyler. I hate it. I don't think he's a very good player, actually. Not a big Higbee fan at all, but it would be the correct pick. Now, fading. Who are we fading? Dallas Goedert. That's who the hell we're fading. Why are we fading a guy in the top offense with one of the top young quarterbacks in the league? Well, one, the guy really can't make it through a season healthy. Number two, the continued breakout of Devontae Smith. The guy is just absolutely fabulous. And also the addition to the team of DeAndre Swift. Now, a lot of people are taking the narrative, Hurts doesn't dump off, and, how is Swift supposed to get any targets with, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, and Dallas Goedert in town? 4th target at best, right, Church? I would be more of the mind that Swift is going to take some of those targets from Goddard. Why? Because once he has the ball in his hands, it's way more electric. He can do a lot more than Dallas Goedert can. The only thing Dallas Goedert has on DeAndre Swift is he's probably harder to tackle. But you know what? They can catch you, Dallas. Swift, they actually have to catch him to tackle him. Not a given when he has the ball in his hands in any space. And also, as far as Hurts not dumping off, I will say this every episode. Personnel dictates strategy. If we go 4, 5, 6 weeks into the season and he's getting 2 targets a game, fine, come shit on me. But until we have proof otherwise, no. So I'm looking at Goddard really as the 4th option here. Excuse me. In Dallas, or at least, 3.5. Maybe put Swift and him on equal footing following, obviously, the top 2 receivers. So it's with the other potential breakouts at the position, and if they do break out, offering more upside, a la Njoku, Kyle Pitts, etc. Oh, screw that. I want no part of Goddard. At least not at his price. That's just not appealing. Oh, and we got Rasta in the house from last week. Hey, don't worry about being late, my man. Better late than never. Although never late is better. That's how you say it. But what up, man? What up? Too bad you're not here for me to argue with on some of this. We've had some fun DMs the last couple of days. Showing the subjectivity of all this. It's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. And we can talk shit on each other's opinions to a degree without it being taken the wrong way. So I appreciate that about you, Rasta. Not everybody can keep their head above the sand in such situations. They get defensive. You don't. I like that. Dalton Schultz is the other fade, though. Dalton freaking Schultz. I think it's going to be a rough go for the Houston Texans offense. I wouldn't say I don't believe in Stroud long term. We need to see what's going to happen there. I don't think Schultz is that good to begin with. I think Stroud is going to go through a lot of rookie struggles. Now, I know they typically tend to lean on tight end, and maybe it's possible because who do they have a receiver? Nico Collins, John Mechie? I mean, I like Nico Collins, but let's be real. He's Nico Collins. Got Dameon Pierce, who will command some level of respect out of the backfield. I mean, he's a hard runner, physical runner, if he can hold up. Didn't do so well after his first 100 or so carries last year, and never had more than 106 in college. So durability for Pierce is a concern. And I also, on some passing down work, he'll be out there, possibly based on some of the preseason usage. We'll see. Singletary is a much more adept receiver, though, so I definitely expect him to get a good portion of that work and probably be a nice little safety valve for Stroud. Schultz, though, I mean, he's being looked at as what, the tight end 11? I'm not looking at him as starting tight end territory. Not an offense I'm tying myself to. Tight ends tend to be so touchdown dependent too. You need those spike weeks. I don't think you're going to get much of that with Houston this season. So fade Dalton Schultz. Argue with me in the chat. Yes, sir. Way too many people with thin skin fantasy. You should really don't put your opinions out there if you're worried about criticism, because they will be criticized. Even if you're right, you'll be criticized. So just, if you can't take it, don't even offer the opinion. That's all I can say. It's not always right, even the criticism you might get, but it will come. That's all. That's just facts. Lastly, we are fading Chig Okonkwo. Why? Overrated. Had some nice games last year. While I did just tout Ryan Tannehill, this is not going to be a main focus of his. Chig is not going to be a main focus of his as a target, especially with the addition of DeAndre Hopkins. Part of why Chig was able to have the performance that he did last year was because there was him and Traylon Burks and nobody else. Really nobody else. Especially with Henry struggling with his own health. So, that is... And also these backup QBs coming in, having to just lean on what they could. Big target, throw ball. I'm past it. He is also being looked at as a top 12 at tight end 12 in the expert consensus rankings. No. Give me Higbee, give me Komet, give me Everett, give me Dolchich, any of those guys over Chig. I have no interest whatsoever in Chig. And while I think Tannehill will be a fine quarterback, he's really good for his price is really the point. Chig is not for his price. It's going to be the nuke show. DeAndre Hopkins. Go with the Hall of Famer over the second year who is average. And lastly, and speaking of criticisms, I'll probably get some for these, but when you have tight end sleepers, what the hell do you think is going to happen? I mean, everybody has the one real late tight end that they like, and everybody else is fucking dumb if they don't. Well, I'm not dumb. I like Gerald Everett. Why? We already talked about Justin Herbert. They're going to throw the hell out of the ball. Gerald Everett is a very talented tight end. He is aging, but he's going to get red zone work because he's a nice big target. Him and Mike Williams are going to be the guy that, when there's not place to Eckler, that Herbert's going to be looking for in the red zone. Or actually, you know what? No. We're in the boardroom. Look at the colors here. We got gold. We're going to take a page out of Nathaniel Hackett's book. This is the gold zone, baby. So when they're in the gold zone, they're going to be looking for Gerald, along with Mike Williams, but also Gerald. I'm actually right at expert consensus ranking agreement, tight end 15, which means he's being drafted very, very late, because at that point, everybody's just waiting until the end of the draft to snag a guy. If you totally punt the position, this guy is at the top of my list. And if you really need to punt the position, say a 14-teamer, and just take it just down the road, get Hunter Henry or Dawson Knox. Screw Mike Gesicki. Screw Dalton Kincaid. Rookie tight end is not going to produce. I don't care if he plays slot wide receiver a bunch. It's just follow history. That's what I'm telling you. Dawson Knox has Josh Allen's trust. Hunter Henry has Mac Jones' trust. Mike Gesicki sucks. I actually thought, I really thought he was going to overtake in this receiving role, but as I followed Patriots beat throughout training camp, he's still Mike Gesicki. That's really what I've learned, and quite a disappointing development. I did make a trade with, back to get right, with Classic Mike over there. Got rid of Mike Gesicki, brought in Jelani Woods in a late draft pick. I'm excited about Jelani Woods long term. Unfortunately, recently learned that actually the Colts have been concealing him struggling with health. Hasn't been out there most of camp. So, Jelani Woods was actually going to be one of the sleepers featured here, but no more. And actually, the more I've seen Anthony Richardson as well. No, nobody's throwing the ball to. I don't want anybody on that offense. It's going to be a putrid offense this season. So get rid of anything to do with the Colts, especially with JT now on PUP, and who knows what the hell is going to happen with that situation throughout the year. Hopefully he plays, because in a very important dynasty league. I need to repeat. I need him. Yeah, I really need Jonathan Taylor. Please let him play Colts. Please, God. But yeah, Hunter Henry is still going to be the leading tight end. The wide receiver group over there is ass. Oh, hold on. Juju, Devontae Parker, Kendrick Bourne, ass. That is what they're dealing with. Hunter Henry will be also a notable red zone target or gold zone target for Mac Jones when they are actually able to get there, which I think they'll be able to get there a little bit more often this year. Why? Because Matt Patricia is not the one calling plays. Joe Judge is not calling plays on offense. What the hell was that? I don't even like Mac Jones. That was... And to have the greatest coach of all time, Bill Belichick, be the one to put those guys in that position. Holy shit. That was just brutal. Trade him. Wait. Trade who? Knox? Oh, JT. Yeah, JT. Yeah, no, definitely be fading JT. I'm honestly not touching him at this point in redraft at all. It's disappointing. Definitely fade him. And Colts, listen to my boy Evo. By the way, what's up, Evo? Yeah, just trade him. Just get it done. You're not getting Jalen Waddle. What the hell are you talking about? Jalen Waddle. And I love Pat McAfee, actually. Full disclosure. Watch the show most days. Him thinking that asking for Waddle in return for Jonathan Taylor wasn't wild. That, oh, you mean the guy who was being talked about as MVP 2 years ago for your team's wide receiver too? What position on the depth chart he has on the other team is not relevant whatsoever to the discussion, Pat. Come on, man. And also, I saw somebody put this on Twitter. Case in point as to why to not just blindly accept a former athlete's opinion, a former player's opinion. Just because they played in the league does not make them infallible or their opinions gold. Please, Colts, trade Jonathan Taylor for the good of the NFL. Please. And that is where we stand. Now, this is going to be our last look, really, at rankings and draft strategy and blah, blah, blah. Why? Because our next show will be next Wednesday on the eve of NFL kickoff, the eve of the Chiefs and Lions. Let's go, baby. I am so excited. So what we're going to do next week, since everybody will, in theory, have had their teams drafted, we're going to start just taking a look into week one. Very quick look. We'll start getting into the, starts and sits. If anybody wants to ask questions about that, any, 11th hour trades before the season that they maybe want to get done. So people come on in, be here 7 o'clock next Wednesday. And we're just going to do another quick preview of the season. Then we're going to just take a deeper look at week one, go through some individual matchups. And we're going to start looking at props. Hell yes. I am so excited. It's been way too long since I've been able to do NFL props. And I'm just going to throw my futures picks out there for you guys too, for fun. And yeah, a look at guys to make sure you do have in and out of your lineups for the week. That will probably relate to any start sit questions you might have. It won't be like a start sit column, just more general guidelines of, hey, these are good guys to be looking at early in the season. This is a great matchup this week, etc. So it's not rocket science. It's just what we'll be discussing. I don't think they're going to get slaughtered. They're going to lose. Slaughtered? If Chris Jones isn't back for the Chiefs, that defense is not great in Kansas City. I understand, they're the champs. Still Patty Mahomes. But the Lions offense is legit. And if they can't get pressure on Goff, I mean, he's going to have a field day getting it off to Gibbs and getting it off to St. Brown. And it's not going to be much trouble for the Lions to move the ball, I don't think. I really don't. And I think they're going to be, again, they're going to lose, but they're going to be ready to go. They're going to be really ready to go. They got a taste of what it feels like to be winners under Dan Campbell at the end of last year. And I think every professional athlete is motivated to. They're professionals. Like, if they don't have the intrinsic motivation to go out there and perform their best at all times, they're in the wrong business. That said, I do think there's a little extra juice because they know what it can be like to have that success. And now they're starting it off on a fresh foot, new season. They're going up against the champs, ring ceremony night. Dan Campbell back there talking about biting knees. That locker room's going to be hyped. I mean, I think they're going to come out, boom. Still lose. Still going to lose. But it's going to be a good night for the Lions. Even the loss, because they'll have expectations for the first time in my lifetime that I can recall. Yeah, the loss will sting. But I think most non-Lions fans are going to look around objectively and think they played a good game. Yeah, we were right about the Lions this year. This is a team you're going to have to pay attention to. Team that the other NFC North teams are going to have to respect. Other NFC teams are going to have to respect. Now, their defense, I still have doubts about. Yeah, Mahomes might put up 40, but the Lions may put up 35. So it's going to be a great game. I'm really looking forward to that one. Really looking forward to that one. I can't believe I'm saying that about a Lions game. I'm looking really forward to a Lions game that has nothing to do with DeAndre Swift because he's no longer on the roster. We'll skip the plugs. We'll get back to the underdog plug next week when I have underdog picks to give you. Oh, man, I can't wait. Oh, Evo doesn't believe in the Lions. We'll see. I mean, I think we started to see it last year, but it's fair. It is the Lions. I mean, I can't fault. If somebody doesn't believe in the Lions, I'm not going to be the one to stand up and say, you're wild. No, that's not wild at all. Not wild at all. I mean, I think you'll see the light soon enough, but it's fair to doubt such a franchise. Same thing with a team like the Browns. Until they actually do it, it's fair to say, no. So we'll get back to underdog plugs next week when we have underdog picks. It'll be tremendous. We're going to have picks all over the place. We're going to have advice all over the place. We're going to start winning games, start winning week 1, start winning money. Whew. Just got the tingles, baby. Got the tingles. So with that, this session of the Fantasy Boardroom is adjourned. Let's win together. Hell yeah, baby. Good night.